Welcome back. So let's look at solving a quadratic by using the formula. So first things first, what is the formula? Well, the formula is here. X is equal to minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2a. Key thing here is to remember that. However, we can derive that from this equation here, and we'll do that at the end. So why would we use the formula? We'd use the formula if we couldn't factorise. First of all, you need to remember the quadratic equation of ax squared plus bx plus c. And the reason for that is you are going to now use the value of a, use the value of b, and use the value of c. Remember, the sign in front of the number is attached to that number, so be careful here. So this is pure substitution. All we do is take the values of a, b, and c and substitute them into this formula and then work it out from there. So here goes. X is equal to minus b, well that is 5, so it's minus 5 plus or minus the square root of 5 squared minus 4 multiplied by a, which is 3, multiplied by c, which is 1. That's all square rooted, all divided by 2 lots of a. What I would do now is neaten this up. So 5 squared is 25, 4 times 3 is 12, times 1 is 12, 25 minus 12 is 13, all divided by 2 times 3, which is 6. That is my pair of solutions, because I've got minus 5 plus square root of 13 divided by 6, or minus 5 minus square root of 13 divided by 6. Best thing you can do here is write them both out. You could put that in your calculator and get an answer, but that would end up being rounded because you'd go to a number of decimal places. So for me, that is probably the best way of showing this. Sometimes you're asked to show it in this form anyway. In fact, in these two questions here, we're asked to show it exactly in that format. I've left the formula here to make life a little bit easier for you. All you need to do now is substitute a, b, and c into this for both questions to get your answers. Let's have a go. So I'm going to write above each one of these ax squared plus bx plus c. Notice this one is not in the right order. So the ax squared is this bit here. So that is ax squared. So the a in this case is minus 2. The c is still at the end, so that's still plus c. And in this case, that is bx. So remember, the coefficient of x squared is a. Okay, let's leave that there for a second. Come back to question number 1. Let's just take the values of a, b, and c and substitute into this equation. So I've substituted a, b, and c into the formula. All we need to do now is simplify this. So in this case here we have 9, and now we've got minus 4 times 6, which is minus 24, multiplied by minus 1, which is plus 24. So 9 plus 24 is 33, all divided by 12. Again, there are two solutions there. So we've got x equals minus 3 plus 33 over 12, or x equals minus 3 minus 33 over 12. Looking at question 2, same thing, substitute the values into the formula. So there we go. All the values have been substituted. Now we just simplify this. Again, 3 squared is 9. So in this case, minus 4 multiplied by minus 2 is 8, and 8 sevens are 56. So 9 plus 56 is 65, all divided by 6. So our two solutions are minus 3 plus square root of 65 over 6, or x is equal to minus 3 minus the square root of 65 over 6. And that's it. That's solving quadratics using the formula. So the last thing to look at is, where does that formula come from? How do we derive it from ax squared plus bx plus c? So where does the formula come from? It comes from the quadratic equation itself. I'm going to show you now how we go from this equation to this formula. So I'll start with the equation as it is. Ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. First thing we want to do is get rid of the coefficient of x squared, so we divide everything by a. So if I do that, I end up with x squared plus b over ax plus c over a. 0 divided by a is still 0, so I'll leave that there. Now I'm going to subtract the c over a to isolate the x's at the moment. I'm left with x squared plus b over ax is equal to minus c over a. Again, don't forget, I've minused the c over a here, which cancels, and I've minused the c over a here, so 0 minus c over a is just that. Now I've got this here, I can factorise by completing the square. So I'm going to factorise this part by completing the square. If you remember, we know there's a bracket with a squared, we know the x goes at the start, and we have half of b here. So that is b over 2a. I'm halving this whole thing. So a half times BA is just B over 2A. So now I subtract B over 2A all squared. Well, B multiplied by itself is B squared, 2 squared is 4, and A multiplied by itself is A squared. And that is now equal to minus C over A. Let's get rid of this from this side of the equation. Let's bring it over to the other side by adding all of that to both sides. I am now left with, what I want to do now is get this over a common denominator. So if I multiply this fraction by 4A over 4A, remember that's the same as multiplying by 1, I will get 4A squared as a common denominator. So let's rewrite that up here. So I've rewritten that, and you hopefully can see that C multiplied by 4A is 4AC all over 4A squared. Hopefully now you can see we've actually got something resembling the formula here. Our next step is to square root to get rid of this squared, this side, and also to square root this side. Let's deal with this first. If we square root that, we are left with x plus b over 2a is equal to, now, if we square root the numerator first, don't forget when you square root, it's a plus or a minus answer. So I square root of the numerator. Now let's square root the denominator. Well, the square root of 4 is 2, and the square root of a squared is a. Hopefully you can now see we've got a bit of a common denominator occurring here. So our next thing now is to get rid of the b over 2a, because remember we're looking to find x equals. So we are going to subtract this from both sides. Hopefully now you can see that that is looking very close to this. One thing to finish off with is by having a common denominator over everything rather than having it separated like this. I mean, technically that's correct. So to finalise, all we do is rewrite that as minus b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac, all square rooted there, all divided by 2a. And there is our formula, and we have gone from the quadratic equation to the formula. I hope you found that of use. Again, if you did, please like and subscribe. We've got one more video on solving equations, and that's all 7 then done. The last one is solving equations that includes algebraic fractions. Again, well done on this. Keep practicing, as it will become easier.